Hey Cindy, so I just wanted to send you this message because I really like you and I think we have a lot of great chemistry, but I really don't see this relationship going anywhere. However, I think there's a lot of fun that we can have. It's just kind of like we have a shelf life, I think, and I just wanted to see if you would be open to potentially exploring a relationship with the understanding that there is that expiration date. Is this being broadcast? Okay. All right, bad joke. Anyway, that was me pretending to be sending a private personal message to a woman I'm dating and then having it be on my channel. So anyway, excuse me for that poor joke. But today's topic is talking about, I guess, essentially friends with benefits and friends with benefits, casual sex. We are going to talk about it all today. So, casual relationships, can they work from a male perspective? I think they can. I personally have not really gone down that road, so I'm really giving you the male perspective in terms of what I believe can work or can't work or whatever. So, first of all, let's talk about why a guy would even entertain that in the first place. Now, someone like myself who has been, for the most of my life, bought into the Disney fantasy, the marriage and kids and the soulmate and all that kind of stuff, why would I put that aside? Kind of. Not really, but kind of. Because, at some point in time you grow up and you realize that it's really nonsense and it's entertainment. That's TV. There's TV and then there's reality. So I'm on the level of thinking about biology and, reality and logic. So based on that, the short of it is the likelihood of me finding a woman who is, and this is, by the way, this is life partner for me, is a matter of finding a woman who is compatible enough and has some decent amount of chemistry. That's all it is. It's a matter of compatible enough. Sense of humor is right where it needs to be, not over the top. She's not too serious. Intelligence is where it needs to be. She's not too much of a genius where I can't understand what she's saying, where it's tough talking to me because I don't understand what she's saying. And she's not a dummy where I can't have profound conversations with her. I can't get deep. So all those variables, so many variables to our personality. And it's just a matter of finding a woman who is compatible enough to sustain a long-term relationship. For me, especially being that I'm kind of unplugged from the matrix, there's a lot of stuff that people just buy right into. You're born into a family that has a certain religious belief and you just jump right along. You know what I mean? If you were born into another religious situation, you would have followed that along as well, because it's not something that you've chosen. You just went along with the flow. The average person hearing the statement alcohol and drugs doesn't faze them at all. Someone like me who, independent thinker, I think about things. I say, what do you mean by alcohol and drugs? Isn't alcohol one of the worst drugs that there is? Right? Because I know what the definition of drugs, I know what that is. Many people don't. They seem to think drugs means illegal, right? There's illegal drugs and there's legal drugs, right? So, but these are things that I think about, and I think most people don't think about those things. Again, it's just a matter of if they go along with society. So with me being someone like that, that makes me a very unique person. So my guess, I'm not a mathematician or anything, I'm thinking that the group of women that have that level of compatibility for me for a lifetime relationship, probably 5% of the population. That's just a number I threw out there, but it's going to be a very small percentage. So what are the odds that I find that woman? I was reading something somewhere that in your entire lifetime, you don't really meet that many people. I never realized, but when I thought about it, I was like, you're right. You see a lot of people potentially live in a big city, but how many people do you actually meet and actually talk to? It's a very small circle. Very small circle when you really think about how many people do you actually meet in person and converse with. Not that many. Your entire life, it's not going to be that many people. I forgot the numbers, but it's a small number. So what are the odds of me bumping into one of the women that happen to be within 5% of the population, when I'm not even going to meet a lot of women in general? I got another 40, 50, 60 years left or something like that. It's just not really realistic. I mean, it's kind of like a lottery scenario. So that's the way I look at it. So I've already come to terms with the fact that, or the reality that I may never find my life partner. So with that in mind, and being the kind of person that I am, I'm very loving, and I'm very much into, I'm a very social person, and I very much love, physical intimacy and things like that. So with that in mind, spending the rest of my life single is not really for me. So with that in mind, I've come to the conclusion that I want to basically have two options available. Continue to seek this woman. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll find her, and then we can have a great lifetime partnership, hopefully, because there's no guarantees, right? But if I don't find that, then I lower my standards to a point where it's a matter of the chemistry is good. We can have a good friendship, so we enjoy each other's company. I can loosen up the variables a little bit, so I don't need you to be necessarily as intelligent as I need for a lifetime partner. I will just accept the fact that I can't really have deep conversations with you, and then we can have a casual type of situation. So what is the problem? The problem is, and what I've come to the realization is that basically my plan B option, the casual option, is essentially what most people do. They just don't acknowledge the reality of it. So most people, to me, they start dead-end relationships. From day one, I can see that's not going anywhere. I'll say women date a guy, and I'm like, look at that guy. You can just tell he's dishonest. He's a player. He's just in it for sex. You can just tell from day one. But somehow the woman misses that. He buys her flowers, sweet talks her, and she buys right into it, right? And I see it's not going to go anywhere. And then 6 months later, they break up for some trivial reason, right? So my thing is, I wouldn't even start that relationship in the past, but now I'll be willing to start that relationship just as long as we have this communication and agreement that there's an understanding that there's a shelf life for the relationship. That we understand that what I need for a lifetime partnership, it's not here. But I love your company. I think you're a great person. We have great chemistry. And I would be willing to, explore things and, see how far things go. And, if at some point we decide, we're kind of tired of each other, one of us, then we move on like adults. However, the tough part of that is, here's the other reality. The reality is that I don't want to be intimate with someone who does not have a lot of the same qualities that I'd look for in a life partner, right? It's just that I would allow certain deal breakers to go through if it's a casual situation, but I still want them to be a person that I have a great time with, that we communicate well together. She has a good sense of humor, and you see where we're going with this. I'm basically describing my life partner. However, there's just some things missing. It's, for example, I love Lamborghini cars, right? Now imagine you sold me a Lamborghini car and it doesn't have any tires, and the doors don't lock, and there's no air conditioning, and the headlights don't work. So I can't really drive that on the road. That's not safe. I'm gonna get a ticket. So that doesn't really work for me. That's kind of like with a woman where she's not compatible for a life partnership. But it's a Lamborghini. It's still a Lamborghini. So, even if I just sit down in it and just hang out and just wow, it's a Lamborghini. Just visually, I know women, it's probably the wrong example to give, but for a guy, just visually, even being in the Lamborghini, opening the door, turning on the engine, hearing the engine, just revving it, it's kind of silly, but still, I can still get enjoyment from this car, even though it has no tires and I can't really drive it on the road and all that kind of stuff. So to me, that's the way I look at it. It's like the woman she has a lot of stuff that really excites me and that I look for in a life partnership, but there's core things that are missing that would kind of give a shelf life to the relationship. But again, she has a lot of stuff I'm looking for. So what does that mean? That means that if we are intimate long enough, I'm human, I'm very, very disciplined, but I'm still human. And there is certain biological things that happen when you're intimate with someone, and I am certainly susceptible to that, and there would definitely be a battle of logic versus chemistry. And love is kind of like a drug, man, where it makes you do a lot of stupid things. You can be drunk with love. You do a lot of stupid things. So even me, the intellectual, the logical guy, if I get drunk with love, I mean, there'd probably be some level of love. Maybe I'm not in love, but I would have love for the person. I could get to the point where, again, just like being drunk, like I'm a responsible driver. I don't drink, but if I did drink, I may not be a responsible driver anymore because I don't really have that much control. Kind of the alcohol is kind of taking control of me. So the love can take control of me. The chemistry can take control of me. So that is the issue. How do you keep it to a point where you don't start falling for each other? Because what's the danger there? The danger there is I start thinking, maybe I was wrong. Maybe you are my life partner, right? And then I start falling in love with you. And then, just like predicted, a couple years later, there's this terrible breakup or whatever happens. So the point is, I think the big issue is how do you exit from the casual relationships? That's what I think. They're not going to last forever. That's the reason why they're casual. That's the reason why you're not married or whatever. So how do you address that? How do you fall out of love with someone who, even though that was not the intention was for it to be casual. The thing is the feeling. So that's the problem. So from a male perspective, I find that a very challenging thing. I've never gone on that road, but I myself, and this is me, now me being super logical, even for me, I find it a challenge. The idea, I find it challenging. Again, I haven't done this, but so it scares me a little bit, actually. But what I would leave with you is perhaps some of the things that can be done is, and this is what I would try to do, maybe limit the amount of time. I mean, if you're in a lifetime relationship, then spend time every day. I mean, obviously you want to have variety and stuff like that, and you do need to have space. So that is something to be considered, but I think you can be more liberal. But if you understand that there's a shelf life, then you need time to kind of get sober. Let's get back to the drunk analogy. You need time to sober up. So maybe if you, again, even if you have a high drive and you're like a once a day person every other day, you might want to do like once a week, but then there's other issues. Let's say one person has a higher drive than the other. So you guys stay apart for a week to 2 weeks. What's that person doing in that time? Now, someone who's honest, and that's the thing, honesty is required regardless whether it's a lifetime partnership or it's casual. So you need to be able to trust the person regardless, because in this situation, an honest person would just find other things to entertain themselves with. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But someone who's dishonest and has the drive, whether it's the guy or the woman, is going to find someone else to entertain themselves with. So while you're trying to, not get too caught up, they may be in a sense where they give into the impulses, especially if you're engaging in intimate relations, so your bodies are in a state, you're in that kind of a mind frame where the woman and the guy, I think, would be more let's say sexually alert. So with that in mind, and then you're not in a committed long-term relationship, say some beautiful woman comes along and something happens, and then will they be honest? I mean, for me personally, that's not a problem, because my only issue is getting caught up with the woman. But as far as loyalty, that's not an issue at all. I'm a one woman type of guy. Like when I'm with one woman, I could see a really attractive woman, and to me, she's almost like a guy. That's just how I am. All of my attraction, most of it, becomes just for this one person. So that's not an issue for me, but I'm me, right? There's other guys I don't think are gonna be like that. I think they're gonna be easier to stray from the path. But again, honesty is key. And this video has ran on really, really long. Hopefully this is an interesting and engaging conversation. Comment below, let me know what you think. Are you currently in a casual relationship, and how has that been working, and how have you been making it work? You know, what kinds of conversations have you had? I really would love to hear what you have to say by commenting below. Definitely subscribe, because there's gonna be a part 2 where we dive deeper into the whole casual situation. See you soon.